8146 is your SMS line at Metropole TVKE across all your social media platforms. We're still asking, is BBI the solution? And Collins, just before we went on break, we said, and I was corrected by Philip, it says, well, there's a proposal that we're going to enact the EFCC Act that is going to make sure that indeed we have expeditious conclusion of corruption cases in this country. No timeline. Well, that timeline was a proposal from some quarters that we just need to take a max over 2 years. And they're also saying an independent ombudsman who's going to oversight the judiciary would also issues like why cases are taking too long to be concluded. Is that what we needed in a country that everybody does know that our biggest impediment is corruption?
Not at all. I mean, I don't think Kenyans want to see how fast cases are being done. Kenyans want to see people in cells. Kenyans want to see people being convicted. Kenyans want to see people being apprehended.
Yes.
Not that we want to see speedy, expedited cases. And you see, and I've told you this before, for cases to be completed, I mean, there's a whole chain. It comes from investigations, right from after investigations, the prosecution in the court, after prosecution in the court, persuasion of the judges with regards to how you've prosecuted your case, and then finally conviction. I mean, we normally have a missing link between the investigations and the prosecution. You get to see the DPP brings cases in court, and then after bringing the cases in court, at times they apply for the people to be discharged because they realize that they cannot establish a nexus between the people and the offense that has been committed. Yet the offense has been committed.
Yes.
And that case normally goes without any remedy to the people who've effected any harm or damages of that sort. I mean, what we need to now talk more about is inspection. And after inspection, in how we are collecting our evidences and how we are making our cases to be quality cases.
Yes.
So that when they are taken to court, I mean, we can see that these cases are being, we can see even substance coming from those cases. We know that money was stolen. We know that Treasury, we've lost money. We know that Aurora and Kimore, we've lost money. But what after that? What is happening after that? We know names of people are being thrown left, right, and center, but nothing is happening after that. Empower the investigation element of the case so that before the case is brought to court, I mean, we are agreeing that this is a quality case that we're going to see it till conviction. We've talked about the office of the ombudsman, and I have to say that we have always had the office of the ombudsman in the judiciary.
Yes.
Right from 2016, I think. Yes. And I think the chair now of the office of the ombudsman is the DCJ, Philomena Mwili. But now what is being proposed is that office holder is going to be appointed by the executive. What the Constitution envisaged when it was talking about separation of powers, really about the three arms of government, is equality among those three arms. And those three arms are going to be so equal. And we had even systems on how we are going to have counted checks and balances vis-a-vis those three arms of government.
Yes.
This is just pure infiltration of the executive into the matters of the judiciary. Or if we are going to have such a situation, then let us equally propose that members of the judiciary are going to vet members of parliament, or rather are going to vet members of cabinet. That is equal. But when you're saying that we are going to have an appointed person from executive, and an executive who has been so keen on punishing or rather stifling the judiciary, to overlook at the mandate of the judiciary, and they're saying that this will be an office for, I think, administration of public justice. That if you are reprieved by if you're not okay with how a judge has rendered judgment and you're applying for bias, and that you have to apply to that ombudsman to look at that. I mean, we have measures even within the judiciary that exist. That if you feel that there's bias apparent with the judge, you make application in that court, and that judge will have to weigh that. I mean, we are two parties in this court, in this matter. You're not just one party that is talking about bias. And judges have recused themselves in the past. Many judges have recused themselves on the basis of bias. We don't need an executive to come and tell us that we need an office of ombudsman to counter-check the functions of the judiciary. That's why we have the JSC.
Yes.
That is the mandate of the JSC. Make an application to the JSC, or make an application if we are talking about backlog of cases is not going to be solved by the issue of the office of an ombudsman. Ombudsman is not going to now force judges to sit down and listen to matters. If a judge is in a station, for instance, that is not even ICT enabled, and you expect them now to listen to matters expeditiously, digitally, it's not going to be possible. Having an office of ombudsman who is going to chaperone or rather spearhead that process is not going to be possible.
Yes.
I think we are addressing the wrong issue through a good way.
Pretty much. All right, gentlemen, just as we move towards the closure of this conversation this morning, let's talk about that, all of us are youth, I'm going to ask ourselves a question. If that has been the problem over time, and I want to start with you, Philip, do you believe that the 2010 Kenyan Constitution did address youth representation in the economy and political issues in this country? And if so, the proposals that we've seen from BBI, do they pretty much give us a solution to that issue? And I want you to start with that youth commission that has been proposed in the BBI.
I mentioned last time that this is a ploy. It is a bait to get the youth
Collins disagreed.
on this bandwagon.
Well, this morning. Yes.
Well, I'll have to hear what he says.
Yes.
But you look at the National Youth Commission, and I mentioned again that we have had a National Youth Council in this country.
Yes.
The National Youth Council has a National Youth Council Act that guides its operation and that gives it its legal mandate. You look at the functions of the National Youth Council. They are very broad, they are very substantive. And then you come to the proposed National Youth Commission.
Yes.
That has so very vague functions and roles, proposed roles. Now, if you compare the National Youth Council Act and the functions there under with the roles of the National Youth Commission as proposed,
yes,
the National Youth Council functions and roles does exemplary well compared to the National Youth Commission.
Yes.
Now, I do not see the wisdom in having, a commission that is a constitutional commission,
yes,
so that, the youth are engaged in governance. It does not mean that the political class will ensure that the youth are engaged in governance. In fact, if we were to look at policy, we must look at how government has managed policy in terms of youth and around youth engagement. Government has failed to do this. It does not mean that a constitutional commission then would require them to do more than they have done. If the politicians, and majority of these politicians are elderly, if they were really keen on making sure that the youth of Kenya is engaged in matters of governance, is engaged in matters of economy, then the National Youth Council Act would have been implemented fully.
Yes.
It has not.
Yes.
That is one. Two, the other bit that we must also guard against, because youth has been a special interest group, including under the 2010 Constitution. And we would have expected that government, the executive, in implementing the 2010 Constitution, would have taken the youth on board in matters of governance. What did we see? We saw the president in his appointment saying he's appointing youth, and then goes ahead to appoint 50-year-olds, even as much as appointing 90-year-olds to certain positions. That flies in the face of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and in the face of youth, really.
Yes.
So we have been used as baits in the electoral process where politicians come and tell you, tutafanyia hivi vijana, this is what we will do, this is what you will benefit when you come on board, you elect me and I will make sure this such and such a thing is done. I think what would benefit the youth of Kenya is to consciously engage. We ourselves, and I think the three of us are almost in the same age bracket.
Yes.
It is to consciously engage in matters of governance, not to wait, for tokenism, to be given some appointments, to be told that now we are taking you on board. This country belongs to us. 50 years down the line, will be, the elders of this country. If we do not take the reins right now, if we wait to be handed over leadership, if we wait for these appointments, if we wait for a certain category of the political class, to gift us certain things, then we are having it the wrong way.
Pretty much. Collins, I just want you to quickly respond to that, and then immediately therefore also attach a response to the biggest talked about aspect of this BBI document as we clear this conversation this morning, that leadership aspect as well. Did you think that with the way that the BBI is envisioned, that top leadership, we're talking about the president, the prime minister, the deputy prime minister, is that what we need for the country to settle, so that every time we go into a general election, we don't say the economy has to stop for us to clear the election?
Thank you so much. The other day, the president was talking as he was launching something called Vijana Mkeni or something like that.
Yes.
And he said the only impediment as to why he has not appointed a lot of young people into his cabinet is the process that it takes to vet members of parliament. The process that it takes to vet appointees. I mean, what a laughable solution, or what a laughable reason as to why he hasn't appointed members of young people into that. Politicians and this country has used young people to be so much on the menu as opposed to be on the table.
Yes.
And we've always enjoyed having young people discussed rather than getting those solutions to young people. This is one of the things that is dear to me because we made actually presentations to the BBI task force, more so on the youth matters and talking about tax holidays and all those things about the youth council. And to that extent, to me, I think that is a good step, right? That's a right step. But we did not make our presentations in that shape. We say, yes, for instance, talking about the HELB loans, don't give people 4 years a waiver for them to pay HELB loans. I mean, we are having a country where young people are facing unemployment, not just for 4 years. For 5 years, 10 years, people are still unemployed. And so even if you do that after 4 years, nothing is going to change. They still have to go back and pay. What we propose is that give government internships whereby that internship is substituted by that loan that they incurred. So that as I'm working for internship, I'm paid less as a per diem or something like that, and that other money that I'm supposed to be paid, yes, goes towards clearance of my loan. And, yes, and such are the proposals that we made to the task force. But really the issue about the young people and the extent to which the young people have performed to the expectation is really low. We have members of parliament who are young people. We have actually a representative of the young people in parliament. It's called the Honorable Gideon Keter. Look at the proposals that these young people have brought to parliament. Look at the contributions of Babu Wino. Look at the contributions of the likes of Gideon Keter, Charles Ndagwa in parliament. I mean, they are not consummate to what we desire young people to uphold when they get into office. I mean, we get to a position whereby we have representatives who are young people getting into office and they do not represent our aspirations. They join the other bandwagon. Look at the proposals, or rather, tell me legislation that Babu Wino has passed, or rather, member of parliament, for instance, Gideon young people, that is geared towards enforcing another betterment of the life of the young people. Not at all. Look at talk about CS Zach Kinuthia, who is a young person. I mean, a very good friend of mine. Talk about the proposal that, and he was appointed from university. He has not even completed university. He did political science, and he was now in University of Nairobi doing. Look at the proposals he has brought, even in that ministry, that has gone towards betterment of the lives of the university students. Not at all. Talk about Nadia, who is an ICT CS. Look at what she has done about bettering the lives of youth. Nothing. And so really we'll keep complaining about youth, but when we are given that opportunity, those youths that are given that opportunity quickly forget that they are young people and quickly forget that they hold a fort for all of us to represent us and to do things on our behalf. And it gets to a position where they forget to represent us.
Yes.
Most importantly, what you've talked about, the expanded executive, and that if that is what we really need, yes, at this juncture. The ineffectiveness of Jubilee government is not going to be cured by having an expanded executive. I mean, we've had ineffectiveness in leadership of Jubilee government because we've had rudderless leadership. They're not aware of what they are doing. They're not aware of what they're supposed to be doing. And so having that inclusion is not going to change anything at all. And so what I've been telling Kenyans today, BBI is a good document, but it's really ill-timely advised. Look at what is happening. Yesterday, just the other day, we lost a 28-year-old doctor. Because they don't have PPEs, he has not been paid since he got posted to his official job. I mean, we are in a phase of a pandemic that has really hit us so badly that we cannot start talking about the BBI.
Pretty much. Now, Philip, can you clear this conversation? Because that's the most talked about area, that our economy stops when we go into an election. In 2 minutes, Philip, is that proposal, the president, the prime minister, is that what we need to solve and calm down the sort of negative emotions that we see when we go into a general election?
Absolutely not. And you've heard talk about inclusivity. Inclusivity is good. While inclusivity is the principle that achieves finally inclusion,
yes,
you cannot begin with inclusion and then say now you are enhancing inclusivity.
Yes.
What we are targeting is now inclusion, including certain people, certain political factions,
yes,
and if we are not careful, we'll only be including certain tribes and entrenching them.
Yes.
So we must really look at inclusivity, the principle and the process, rather than inclusion, because if we upend that equation, then we head into trouble. At a time when we are having high debt to GDP, we are having high fiscal deficits, and everything is on the high, including corruption. And now that we were celebrating the Anti-Corruption Day, everything is on the high, including our corruption index. We cannot sustain the kind of model that is being proposed.
Yes.
Unless we drastically change how we do things. Our wage bill is going to shoot up and our economy is going to rupture even more. People think that we are at a bad place.
Yes.
Well, some don't, but we are really at a bad place. And if we do not decide to consciously change and not adopt some of these proposals, then we would head at a very bad place economically.
Pretty much. All right. From Metropole Television here in the studio, Philip, I would like to thank you very much and wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New 2021, man.
Thank you too. Merry Christmas to you too.
All right. Kalenza Lodge, Merry
Yes.
Christmas and a Happy 2021, sir.
Merry Christmas. Happy 2021. And I hope you change your team then.
And I'm just going to end it like this, Collins. I told you what you can do, we can do better, vice versa, and welcome back home. All right. And that's exactly what we have for you this morning. Goodbye, and 2021, let it be a good year for you.